For a closer look at investing in space, let's welcome Chad Anderson, CEO of VC firm Space Angels, whose portfolio includes Elon Musk's SpaceX. And Chad, the point that I guess you need to get across is that this is not a 2030 type endeavor that you're doing right now, but you need to convince me that there are near-term profit potentials for some of these companies that you're investing in. And once you do that, give us the nuts and bolts about what some of these companies actually do. It's fascinating, but it seems like it's still a ways off in the future.
So there's a ton of activity over the last 10 years. There's been $25 billion invested into 500 space companies, unique space companies over the last 10 years. And before that, there wasn't a whole lot of anything going on, entrepreneurially speaking. So it's all very new that we've seen the barriers to entry come crashing down with SpaceX. They really lowered the cost and brought transparency to the market for the very first time by publishing their pricing. And so this is what's enabled all of these new startups and all of these new companies to come in and...
But it's not a VC spaceship, because you're one of the biggest VC companies, and you do $30 million, and we're talking about a $100 billion endeavor it's expected to be. So 30 million out of 100 billion, where it's not a VC really type space yet, is it?
I would argue that it absolutely is.
Well, why don't you have more than $30 million then?
Because we're 10 years into this. And so SpaceX brought down the barriers to entry for the first time. There was maybe a dozen privately funded space companies in the entire world before 2009. SpaceX came along and they really removed the barriers to entry. And then we've seen for the next few years since then, we've seen new companies building on the back of that access to space. So we have invested in more space companies than anyone else on the planet, and I can tell you that there is money to be made here, especially in the early stages.
So, let's say it's a 100-story building. I would say we're on the second floor, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean that's the point that I'm trying to make. Yeah, is that it's very new.
Yeah.
We're definitely not on the first floor.
I mean, you're designing like living quarters on the moon and things like that, right?
Yeah. So space today is a very large market. We make a lot of money from space data. If you think about GPS, is a really great place to start. So GPS was initially funded by the military, and there was a lot of infrastructure and investment. And then there was companies like Magellan and Trimble and others who made use of that signal, propagated that signal out to the tech community, and then we've seen what the tech community has done with that. And most of the venture returns that we've seen are driven by companies based on the GPS signal. Yeah. The same thing's happening right now with geospatial intelligence and satellites that are going around the planet, taking images and gathering
agriculture for what kind of use?
All kinds of things. So agriculture is, and this is all very new, but what we're seeing, the demand is coming from agriculture, insurance, construction. You can kind of think anything that's a big asset that you want to monitor at a global scale, shipping channels.
I've paid close attention to the Virgin Galactic transaction because in my day job I run a special purpose acquisition company much like Chamath's that merged with Virgin Galactic. The retail investor was very strongly supportive of that transaction. Institutions were more skeptical, uncertain about how many people will want to pay a lot of money to go to space and take what may be some safety risks, so on and so forth. Are you bullish on space tourism as a business?
So I think that this is a very exciting thing to happen, and it's great to see that one of these new companies is going out and taking the bold, brave stance and going public. I think running a human spaceflight program on a quarterly schedule is going to be challenging, and we're going to have to see how this plays out. But for us, we're not invested really in the suborbital space, although I am personally excited about it. We are more interested as a venture capital fund looking to make money. We're more interested really in the data that comes from space. Geospatial intelligence is a key piece of it.
Would you like to go up in space with Virgin Galactic, you personally?
I certainly would. I mean, so I've already done the training, so I'm not a ticket holder now, but I do think that both their offering and Blue Origin's New Shepard vehicle are both very compelling. It would be a lot of fun.